court thanks to Victoria Police Apply Now and TAC Ditch the Distractions. Of course, I am joined by Aussie Diamond, Magpies netballer, Magpies footballer, Ash Brazill, and your Magpies got their first win of the season against the Firebirds last night.
Oh, and what a win it was. I think the whole game I was like, I don't think we're going to do this. And then in the last 10 minutes, we came from nowhere and we snuck home the win. And, you know, people talk about winning ugly. That was definitely ugly, but a win is a win, and I'm so glad we've got the win.
Oh, you'll take that any day. It's so great to see Maddie Brown and Kelsey Brown back out there doing well, playing their role. And, I mean, they have to be rested, though, because it's pretty hard, isn't it, coming back from their ACL injuries and needing, you know, some time out as well, back-to-back games.
Oh, and I know you talk about Maddie Brown and Kelsey Brown, two massive names, but I think what's getting the job done at the moment is our younger players, because they're having to rest through injury and just making sure they can get their knee right. These young players are just getting on court, playing their role and just stepping up. Like Molly Jovic last night, MVP and well-deserved. Like, she just had a phenomenal game. It looks like she has been out there for years. It's been unreal.
And speaking of the young players, I want to take a look and congratulate Briony Akle because she played for the West Coast Fever. Get this, Braz. She played for the West Coast Fever because Courtney Bruce is out at the moment with an injury. She is a Queensland netballer, has grown up in Queensland, playing in Queensland, and Stacey had to go out there and find a defender to help fill the role for Courtney Bruce. And they just plucked her out of a training session that she was in and said, come on, we need you for the Fever. Never trained with the team at all. And she made her debut on the weekend.
And I guess this is the silver lining about COVID. We are seeing young players and random players that, you know, we weren't even expecting to see, like going to a training session and pulling out a player. And first game, welcome playing the Australian captain, like mind-blowing. Going from a state league level to playing Caitlin Bassett, like well done.
I agree. And another standout too for the Adelaide Thunderbirds for me on Saturday was Georgie Horgis. She's a young up-and-coming goal attack, wing attack. So impressive, Braz. She was like just the confidence. She was feeding really well, which was important, but also just, I think, nailed 3 super shots. That's what we like to see for the young ones out there.
Freaks. I'm loving it.
Let's get on to the agenda. When you're on your phone, you're driving blind, so ditch those distractions. Our first thing on the agenda is the Swifts' third quarter. My goodness, they took on the Fever. Fever looked like they were flying and were going to take out that game. What did you make of that third quarter?
Oh, and this is what surprises me. You know, we'll always be talking about the 2-point shot.
Yes.
But in this third quarter, I think only 1 or 2 were the 2-point shots. So it just really shows you that the 2-point, it's overrated.
Yeah.
And if you just play a good, hard netball and just put up those 1 shots, you can win a game.
And we'll talk about Sophie Garvin, but the Swifts, this is what they've done their last 2 third quarters. They beat Giants 21-13 in the first round and Fever 27-11 in their third quarter. Take a look at where they're shooting. This is Sophie Garvin shot 21 from 23 in such an incredible performance, not only from her personally, but the team. But look at it, they're all under the post. Yeah. How important is this super shot at the moment?
Overrated. You know, we've talked about it so much and I love it, but like that's actually just thrown it out, hasn't it? Like, and you know, Sophie Garvin, she's unbelievable and someone that I guess we weren't expecting to step up because you've got Sam Wallace there. I wasn't sure they'd play Sophie that much, but they can throw to any player they want right now. And to have Sophie shooting from wherever she wants, whenever she wants, I'm excited for the Swifts, and I love the Swifts. I love watching them play. They're young, they're energetic, and the fact that the whole team got around Sophie just for that 1 quarter, I think it's great.
And that's what you like to see. They did win the premiership last year, of course, but what you like to see is they're just such a team. They're just a really strong team, and their captain, Maddie Proud, put out this tweet, which I thought was pretty cool.
And I don't even know who Sam is, but Maddie Proud has screenshotted a message, and Sam has decided to put Sophie Garvin in the history books with the likes of Kathy Freeman, Tom Brady, and Leo Barry's mark in the grand final. I think they're pretty big milestones, and Sophie Garvin's third quarter is in that. How do you feel about that?
Well, no pressure, Sophie. Let's hope you produce that kind of netball for the rest of the season because the pressure is now on. Let's also take a look at the big milestones that are happening around the games at the moment. Firstly, we saw Caitlin Bassett with her 200th game last night for the Giants. And then we saw, April Brownlee hasn't got her 100 yet. Kate Maloney, Paige Hadley. Tonight, potentially, they'll take the court for their 100th game.
Yeah, and massive for Caitlin Bassett getting 200 games. Like, that is just an amazing achievement. But the fact that Paige Hadley and Kate Maloney could get their 100 tonight with playing for one club, I think that in itself is massive.
Yeah, it is pretty special. That was the agenda. Ditch the distractions. Now it's time for the nitty gritty. All thanks to Lexus of Berwick. Experience amazing with us, lexusofberwick.com.au. For me, I want to talk about the Australian shooters. So not just the shooters playing in the Suncorp Super Netball. I want to talk about the Australian shooters because at the moment, there is very thin stocks of players actually playing in that goal shooter position. We've seen Caitlin Bassett. She didn't have a great first couple of rounds, but she did stand up last night. The super shot is not her forte. That's okay. She's been nailing those one-pointers. What about the other shooters, though? Because a lot of other goal shooting positions are filled by import players. Who do you think is going to stand up for the Diamonds in the future when Caitlin Bassett, I don't know if she's going to retire soon or not, there's a lot of talk around that, but if she, I mean, she can stay around, but we still need 3 other players that can play in that shooting position.
Yeah, and this is a big thing for me because, like, let's just go back to Caitlin Bassett retiring from Diamonds. She hasn't put that out there, but it's been such a big topic for the last 12 months, and I just think, is there any player at the moment that's better than her? Are we talking about, why are we bringing this up? Are we trying to force her to retire? I don't think so. I still think she's an amazing player. And the 2-point shot doesn't exist in international level. So it shouldn't really matter or come into play. And you have seen likes of Irene van Dijk play until she was 40. So Caitlin, can you do that? I hope you can.
Yeah.
But for me, Emma Ryde's a big one and a big question mark for me because she is probably the only real tall shooter that we have in Australia at the moment. And she's not getting court time at the moment because our superstar, Shimona Nelson, you don't want to ever have her off the court. So I guess it is hard for these Australian shooters because can they get court time? But
yeah.
I know there's 3 that you think could really step up.
Well, we've already talked up Sophie Garvin, and I think she's not ready yet, but she will be ready at some stage. Cara Conan, I've really been impressed by what she's been able to do with the Lightning. She doesn't get a huge amount of court time, but when she comes on, she is great. And Kira Austin, we've obviously seen her in and around the Diamonds before. She's a cross-wing attack, goal attack. Add in Gretel Buita when she comes back from having a baby, and I just think it adds a very versatile Diamonds lineup that potentially looks different to how we've seen it before. But one thing everyone needs to remember is that international rules does not include the super shot. So even though it might not play into the hands of these tall shooters like Caitlin Bassett and Emma Ryde, to play 60 minutes on the court, we are going to need them when it comes to international netball, especially Caitlin Bassett. So I hope she hangs around for a lot longer because there is definitely a place for her to play for the Diamonds still. Yeah. She's captain. She's been in that team a long time. Experience adds so much. And while we talk about the impact that the super shot and the new rules for super netball are going to have on international netball, I think we need some of those strong players that have been around for a long time to help teach some of these new players coming through.
But do you think those 3 are ready? Because my thing is, and this is my personal opinion, is I don't think Diamonds is somewhere where it's a breeding ground to get them ready for Diamonds. That is where you learn from your club, and then when you get to the Diamonds, you are the best player in that position for Australia at that time. And that could change next year because you might not have a good season. But I don't think we need to be bringing 2 younger players in to develop them at that level yet. I think we need the best of the best, and then you are striving for that because I don't want it to get to a place where the dress is just given to every single player because there's so much pride in that dress, and I just think if you're getting a number, it's because you were the best at that time, not because we're developing you.
Couldn't agree with you more, Braz. That was the nitty gritty, thanks to Lexus of Berwick. Now, Braz, this is where I hand it over to you. It's time, this time again, for Brazilliant.
And for me this week, it is another good human behaviour, and that goes to the coach of the New South Wales Swifts. I feel like I'm mentioning them way too much this episode.
You're such a Swifts fan, aren't you?
Well, I follow them on Instagram. They are doing well. But Briony Akle is up there with her family, and I think, she's homeschooling her 4 boys. She's coaching the head coach of the New South Wales Swifts. She's just doing everything. So I just think good on her. And for me, being a mum, she's someone that I would look up to because she's still living her dream and she's still being the best mum she can be. So well done, Briony, and I just think you're a great human, so keep being you.
Awesome to see Briony, and I mean, awesome to see Braz is such a huge fan of your club. So you might want to get her back up there at some stage. I think that she's pretty keen to go.
No, I'm
just
good.
Kidding.
Black and white still, guys.
Okay, it's now time to get to the final say. Victoria Police are recruiting now. Search police careers and apply to be a force for good. Ash, what have you got for us for your final say this week?
For me, it is don't underestimate the 2-day turnaround. I think it is a little bit quick to go from game to game. And one thing that I did hear on the commentary during last night's game was Catherine Cox mentioned it's like watching basketball because it's just being played at the two ends, not much in the middle. So are the mid-court getting enough rest? What do you think about that?
Oh, I think we're only just seeing limited glances at the moment of the impact that it's going to have playing so much and playing a couple of games a week. Yeah. Yes, we talk about world champs, com games, some of the girls are used to it, but they're not used to it over such a long period of time, and especially the teams that aren't using their rolling subs a lot. I think it's going to have a huge impact. Yeah,
and we're only in round 3. I think if I was there playing up there now, I'd actually like it because I would rather play than train any day of the week. Yep. So it's just like replacing game day with a training day. But I do think if we aren't getting and seeing those rotations, we will see players burn out.
Yep. And for me, my final say this week, and you know that when I played Braz, I hate talking about when I used to play, but one thing I did love
let's talk about it.
was rejecting the shot, because I feel defenders, we need our glory somehow. So a good rejection when the shooters are putting up the shot is pretty special, and I am loving seeing it. I saw it all over the weekend in the game, especially the Thunderbirds defenders. We know Kate Shimmin can do it well. We saw Shamira Sterling do it. We saw Manua down the other end for the Giants doing it. I am absolutely loving it, and the reason it's back is because the shooters are taking more risky shots. The super shot is there, so they're tempted to take it. The trajectory of the shot as they let it go is a little bit lower, which allows the defenders to have a fly at that ball. So it excites me that it's back. I can't wait to see more of it.
Do we have a stat of how many you got?
No, we're not going to go back and look at that, because I'm sure Kate Shimmin would absolutely murder me in that stat. 100%. She is an absolute gun at it.
It's definitely, I don't know, for me, being a wing defence, if there is a rejection, I just think it's the best part about the game. The pump up that you get in that moment is just next level.
See, I can imagine you doing it from the edge of the circle, being able to just swipe from 3 feet away and land on the other side.
I might hit a head on the way through, but no, I don't think so.
That is the final say, all thanks to Victoria Police. Apply now. Now, I'm just going to quickly get your tips for the games tonight. Swiss Thunderbirds?
Swifts.
Oh, Thunderbirds, I reckon they're going to be close. Vixens Lightning?
Oh, this is a big game. I reckon Vixens just.
Vixens just. They played so well. I'm definitely tipping them against the Lightning. That was Centre Court for this week, all thanks to TAC. When you're on your phone, you are driving blind. Ditch the distractions. And Victoria Police are doing an amazing job around Victoria at the moment. They are recruiting now. Search police careers and apply to be a force for good. Thanks for joining me again, Ash. I can't wait for more Netty, and we'll see you again next week.